Washington, D.C. is preparing for a presidential inauguration like no other. President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn in on Wednesday amid unprecedented security measures. The CBC's Thomas Daigle is live on the streets of the U.S. Capitol. So, Thomas, wow, I mean, that is unbelievable. What is it like where you are? I can see it's a ghost town. It looks like a ghost town.
It is a secure ghost town here in the central business district of Washington, D.C., Andrew. That is a checkpoint that is operated sometimes by U.S. Secret Service or Border Patrol or National Guard troops. These have been set up, these white tents, all around downtown D.C. to get from point A to point B. You have to go through there, you have to show ID, and they have to see that you have a reason to go to that next block that you're trying to get to. This is a bank, and this is a very common scene in downtown D.C. right now, boarded up, as are restaurants and businesses. They were around the time of the Black Lives Matter demonstrations in the summer, then around the time of the election in November, and here we are again in January. So many businesses boarded up, trying to stay afloat despite the pandemic and despite all the demonstrations and indeed the riot on January 6th. Way back there is the White House that is behind a non-scalable wall and barricades and trucks and, again, more tents. Some of these are media tents that have been set up ahead of the inauguration on Wednesday. But it's very hard to navigate the streets of Washington, D.C. these days. We actually saw a former Trump spokesman, Hogan Gidley, here earlier trying to get to a 3 p.m. meeting at the White House. He was walking all around trying to argue with Secret Service to let him through. It didn't happen. But that's the situation. Donald Trump holed up in the White House way back there, and these non-scalable walls set up all around downtown D.C., not just to ensure security, but as a deterrent, is what the National Guard is saying, to ensure that anyone who's thinking of causing chaos doesn't. We've been given this Secret Service credential card to ensure we can get from point A to point B. One side has her picture and name, the other COVID-19 guidance. Such is the situation right now, Andrew.
That is just incredible. So, Thomas, I just want to get a sense from you in terms of what's it been like walking around the city. I mean, this scene is just, it's eerie. It's almost like out of some strange movie that we're watching, but this is real. There you are on the streets of Washington, D.C., and I think I saw one other person. I bet I wouldn't be surprised if it was other media. One other person in your whole little, show and tell that you did us. What's it been like?
It's like nothing I've ever seen following terror attacks in Europe that I covered, or any other news event. People who've covered previous events like this, high profile, what they call national security events in Washington, D.C., such as inaugurations, say that it looked similar. There were lockdowns, there were checkpoints, but never before have there been so many National Guard troops in the streets, upwards of 25,000 from every corner of the United States being deployed to Washington, D.C., and never before has the perimeter been so wide for many, many blocks all around Pennsylvania Avenue, all around the Capitol. And plus, this came into effect much earlier than in previous times, not just because of course, the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, but because of COVID. The city administration here is telling Americans, don't come to Washington, D.C. We don't want you.
And what about some of those concerns, Thomas, about the security and, some of the National Guard troops that have been tasked with being on the streets of Washington, D.C., some concerns around the vetting of all of those troops in such a short period of time, right?
Yeah, top defense officials reportedly had fears of an internal attack, or an inside attack, as they're calling it here. Since Washington, D.C. has been so fortified, it's unlikely that anyone's going to come to town and be able to breach this secure perimeter. But the fear is if someone were inside, already vetted, already here on the ground, they might be able to carry out an attack on Inauguration Day on Wednesday. So the FBI and Secret Service now carrying out additional vetting on the 25,000 National Guard members who are being deployed here. One of the things that is in the back of the minds of so many people here is the fact that some of those people involved in the riot on January 6th, either current or former law enforcement or military, some of Trump's supporters say they are pro-police, but we saw during that riot they in fact were not, Andrew.
And so, Thomas, tell us about the man that is still in the White House, President Donald Trump, in the final hours of his term in office. What might we expect from him?
Trump, we will be watching tomorrow for any type of clemency that he will offer any allies or anyone else. He apparently has a list of 100 people he is interested in either pardoning or commuting their sentences. This is a normal thing for a president to do in the final full day of his time in office here. And Trump, of course, will leave Washington on Wednesday morning. He'll fly down to West Palm Beach, Florida. He'll move into his Mar-a-Lago resort just about an hour before Biden is sworn in here as the 46th president of the U.S.
Thomas, thank you. That is the CBC's Thomas Daigle, live in Washington, D.C.